So the other day, somebody asked me what applications we include in FreeDOS 1.3 RC5. And specifically, this person asked if we include Pico, the editor. And the answer is yes. We actually include Pico and a bunch of other editors you can install on FreeDOS 1.3 RC5. Now, if you do the full install with all the applications and games, those editors will be installed for you. But here, I've installed the system using the standard sort of plain DOS system. Now, I can install those other packages by running fdimples. That's our package manager on FreeDOS. And if you've got your CD loaded for the FreeDOS 1.3 RC5, it'll be able to install these different packages. Down here, if I navigate down to editors and go use my right arrow to get to the next side, here I can look at the different packages that I can install from the edit section. Pico is the one I want to install, so we'll go up here, we'll do a space on that, we'll tab over to get the OK, and we'll hit space on that. And now I've installed Pico, right? Doesn't take very long to install that, it's very, very quick. And now we'll run Pico, and we'll just start editing a file called, let's do file.txt. And here's Pico. So if you're looking for a distraction-free writing environment, Pico might do the job for you. Now, some interesting things about Pico. Pico stands for the Pine Composer. And Pine was an email client that replaced another one called Elm. And in fact, Pine stands for Pine is not Elm. And so really when you're looking at when you edit with Pico, you're really editing with an email composer. And so it doesn't have a ton of features that other editors might have because it was originally designed just to edit text. Now, it does have a couple of neat features, though, and so you can go up here and I can go on this line, move my cursor to this line, and I can do Control-K. See at the bottom of the screen, you can see all the different keys that I can press, and so we'll do Control-K to cut this line. I'm going to go all the way up to the top of my file, and I'm going to do an uncut text, Control-U, and that now will uncut the text, basically inserts it at the top of my file. Now, every line here probably should be in its own paragraph, and this is something that would happen all the time when you're writing an email, is you'd write some things, and then you kind of want to bring everything together into a paragraph, and that's called justifying. So we now need to justify all the text and basically fill it out to form a paragraph. So that you can see at the bottom of the screen is Control-J. And now that's justified the entire paragraph. It's glued all those lines together, and so that way it's more readable rather than having a bunch of individual lines. If I want to undo that, of course, you can see Control-U is now changed to an unjustify. So I do Control-U, and that now unjustifies the text. I can find certain text in here. So if I do a Control-W, I can look at certain text in here. So let's go ahead and find the first instance of the word elm. And now it's moved my cursor to the front of the word elm. Now, if I'm looking for other help, I can just do Control-G, and that'll get you other help on here. And you can see different information on using Pico. You just do Control-V to do the next page. Right, so I was telling you all the different keys you can use. Now, originally this being a Unix program, because Pico and an email program Elm were all originally for a Unix system, they also have these alternative keystrokes. Rather than doing forward and backwards, you can also use Control-F, Control-B to go forward and backwards by a character. And so that's why you're seeing these different controls sequences in here. Keep going down by Control-V. And so you different, basically full-out help learning about Pico. Let's do Control-X to escape that help. And let's go ahead and re-justify my paragraph with Control-J. And now let's write out my file, Control-O. I'm going to write that out to file.txt. Now, you may have noticed at the top of my screen there's that little rectangle, and that's because that's actually my mouse. I can actually use the mouse to move around and position my cursor, for example. So I can just do click here, and that'll put my cursor on that next line, because I remember I have a couple blank lines here at the end. Or I can click up here, and I can put the cursor at the front of Pine. And so if you prefer to use the mouse to move around the file rather than having to use keyboard all the time, that'll work for you as well. You can also, by the way, use the mouse to select these different options down here at the bottom. And so I can do, for example, get help just by clicking on get help. Right, and I can use the mouse to then exit the help. Right, so you can use a mouse as well as using the keyboard. And that's just a quick introduction to the Pico editor. I'll go ahead and exit the program here. And so what'd you think about this? Let me know in the comments below. Before I go, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon. You really do make this video channel happen. I appreciate every single one of you. Some of you are sponsoring me at a higher level, and I want to recognize you especially here for that. So thank you very much. Visit our website at freedos.org. Join us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you.